Shout out to everybody tuning in. I appreciate y'all. Today we talking the WNBA 2023 All-Stars and the All-Star Snubs and the controversial Sabrina Ionescu situation. So the All-Stars for 2023 were announced, and of course, as usual, in both leagues, we always get a bunch of controversy about who made it, who didn't make it, who's properly rated, and who's overrated. So for the front court, we got Aliyah Boston. I'm not sure why a lot of people was upset about Aliyah making it. I mean, I feel like she's exceeded expectations. A lot of people were worried about how she would deal with the size and players being just as strong as her. And we found out that there might not be a player in the league right now that's stronger than her. You might be taller, but just pure strength and her ability to adjust from game to game and understand that she couldn't go through certain players, so just go with the footwork. And so I don't really understand with Indiana winning, possibly being on the cusp of maybe sneaking in the playoffs. I don't know why anybody would be upset with Aliyah Boston. NECA, I didn't hear any backlash for that. Now, Brittany Griner, this is where I probably because I feel like AT should be on this front court. I don't have a problem with Griner, with her whole situation. We got respect for all of that. But she only played 9 games. AT played 15. She could be on the team, but just bring her off the bench. That's it. I only think they won 1 game. So it's like, I know in most people power, and this is the other thing y'all got to consider too. What was y'all expectations for certain teams coming in, and how did the top players, how did they help whatever, so say if I had New York being 2, how did those players on that team push that team to your expectations? Because you had those expectations for a reason, because you felt these players were a certain caliber. Well, if they didn't meet those expectations, and I seen Phoenix on a lot of people's lists higher than last, which they are right now. So I'm not knocking Griner. I'm just saying I don't believe in reward and losing. Like, I didn't believe Dame should be all NBA when they lost just as much as they won when he played. I don't care about, you can go put up 50. Maybe your team didn't need 50. Maybe they needed you to put up 20 and 10 assists. So I don't care. I'm not blown away by certain numbers and stuff like that. I understand. It's it's cool that you can do that. Huh? It's entertaining. But I don't think that losing in any sense should be rewarded. Even with draft picks, I feel like the worst team should play in a losing tournament, and the best of the worst team should get the higher pick. So that's just my stance on that. So I seen other people agree with Brittany Griner not being a starter. Not saying she shouldn't be an all-star, but just a starter. Brianna Stewart, Saltu, Asia, and that's the front court. And for the back court, Jewel Lloyd, Arike, Chelsea Gray, and Jackie Young. So I'm cool with Arike. I'm cool with Gray. I like a lot that she on that first game, it was y'all know I was complaining man, here we go with this gunning Gray. I like point guard Gray. I don't like that gunner Gray trying to win finals MVP. I don't like that, but we've been getting point guard Gray since then, and I appreciate passing and playmaking and setting up your teammates, and that's a part of the game that I feel like a lot of people don't. Now with her, she's in the right situation to where she's with somebody that's loved. It's just a lot of love around that whole situation, and of course that team is one of the fan favorites, so she can get celebrated for doing stuff like that, where somebody like AT, they can get overlooked. Come on, bro. How is Alyssa Thomas not like Maryland. Where y'all at? Because a lot of people been like, who are we to blame? I do think the voting system is flawed. I don't think fans for All-Star starters, because at the end of the career they'll be like, so and so was a 5-time All-Star and this and that, or All-Star starter. When you start separating who was an All-Star starter, I don't think. I think if we're gonna put that much weight on the All-Star, it should be prestigious, like making a Team USA team. Everybody can't make it. You might be a very good player, but we see the best of the best will make this team, and that's how the starters at least should be. I'm not saying the fans shouldn't have any input, maybe the last 2 spots on the team or something like that, but all-star starters, no, absolutely not. And I'm not saying the players do either, because we see players can be biased, and players are going to vote and stick with who they like, who they have relationships with. And I don't think coaches or players, if they are voting, should be able to vote for their teammates or players that's on their team. So let's get to, it was also controversy with Sabrina and her ranking, and we'll get to Alyssa Thomas after this. So they had the fan rank, the media rank, and the player rank, and Sabrina and Diana Taurasi had the 2 outliers. So Sabrina, by the fans and the media, and I would say Sabrina fan rank probably like, you got one group who feel this way of fans, and another group of fans who feel this way. So she was 6 with the fan rank, 6 with the media rank, but 19th with the player rank. And I seen some people like, oh, the players just hating. Now, I don't believe that the players are hating. I think everybody understands that Sabrina is deadly from 3. She's number 3 in threes made per game, number 13 in 3-point percentage at like 40%, something like that, or 41.9. Everybody respects that. But outside of that, I just think players feel like the same. They feel like the handle. Like, what would you grade Sabrina's handle? I think most people would be like, she got an average handle. What would you grade her speed? You'd be like, she got pretty average speed, pretty average. What would you grade her ability to consistently create space for a shot against good defenders? It's average. Like, she got her times where she can do, a little better, but it ain't nothing crazy. Like, no, I don't think a top defender is like, oh man, I got Sabrina. And that's not to knock her. I think she's very smart. She's intelligent, and she understands how to move within the system. I don't think she ever does too much. And I'm not saying as far as her output. I'm saying she doesn't do, like, some players will not have a certain ability, but they'll keep pushing that line trying to do that thing. So she doesn't do dumb things like that. She's just a smart basketball player. And that's where I see value in her. But she's pushed as if she's Breanna Stewart, but she's not Breanna Stewart. So I think that's where, if you play, that's something that you will notice. But for me, I get it. I think people are more prone to that's why I say you need a balance of races on these things, because in men's basketball, we know who dominate, and this is where you can get some balance. And I still think, for whatever reason, Stewie just isn't good enough. They want her, and they definitely want to shove DT as the GOAT. And I'm not sure why at this point in her career, like, it's no numbers that you could point to be like, okay, what they had DT rated? Hold on, let me see. So media, the fans rated her 7. The media rated her 10. Okay, so that's a little bit more for it. And the players rated her 14. So Sabrina was just the total outlier with 19 by the players. So, I mean, that's just what it is. That's how players feel. She not really, I think they saying she's not that crazy to guard. So, but shout out to Sabrina. She's shooting 41.2% from 3. And Let me see what else. What else is she doing very well? Let's see. Yeah, 3.1 threes made per game, so she's second in that. But let's go to Alyssa Thomas, man. How is she not an all-star? Are you crazy, dumb, stupid, out your mind, ludicrous? Have you lost it? Like, what's going on, man? Like, didn't y'all learn? Let me say this, too. I apologize to anybody that feels offended. When I say y'all, or sometimes I be joking. Like, I'll be talking, and I'll be like, man, y'all ain't play. You know, my judgment on a player might be a little more because I play. I'm not knocking you if you ain't play. I'm just understand. I'm talking, man. You gotta let me cook sometime. Like even when I said the thing about the job, I'm not knocking nobody to work and can't say certain things because of their job. I understand. Like we all be in different situations at different points of time. It's understandable. Understand this is, a piece of entertainment. So just let me work. But so just understand what I'm saying, y'all. I'm not, this ain't dissing everybody, so just relax. But I thought most people would have learned by the fiasco in the NBA with the Joker, and everybody was pushing for Embiid, and then later on at the end of the season, you get to see the Joker's real value. And I think AT is in a situation like that. It's like if you put the Joker and Draymond together, you'll get AT's impact. Like the same way that they create and they're the engine for their team and the passing, and it's not always about scoring, but they can score if needed. Well, prime Draymond could score if needed, but it's that same type of concept with her. Like she's doing everything right. Like she's high motor, 551 minutes in the time of load management. She's played 15 games. She's first in the league for that. She's first in total rebounds at 6'1". She's first in rebounds at 6'1". Jones get injured. She's guarding Williams, who's 6'3", killing her own weight. She guard Chelsea great, so she's guarding 1 through 5. Who else is doing it? I don't understand the disconnect. Like, Maryland, where y'all at? I don't understand the disconnect with AT. I feel like I understand it because I know people still don't respect Joker to a certain extent. They don't like that style of play. They don't want to see it. I think it's more respect for it, but it's like, so I do think more appreciation will start to come if Joker continues to have success, and that respect will trickle down all the way throughout basketball. But it's going to take something like that. But I definitely think AT needs to be number one in the conversation for MVP and number one in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year for everything that I just said. Like she's guarding 1 through 5, wherever's needed, holding her own, grabbing the most rebounds at 157, number one. She's first in total assists with 118. She's first in total steals with 30. She's 8th in defensive rating, and she's second in win shares behind Breanna Stewart. So, and she beat the Aces, the super team. Remember, Connecticut's not supposed to be number 2. The conversation before the season that I think a lot of people forget is New York, Las Vegas. That's it. Nobody else has a chance. And I think even without Bree Jones, because of Alyssa Thomas, they still have a chance. I actually think it's a little bit better because if you notice in that first game against the Aces, they just packed the paint. So now you got all shooters around AT, which I think maximizes her game. I don't even think she's maximized with Bree Jones. So I think the best of AT is what we seen these last few games and going forward. And not saying Bree Jones, one of my favorite players too, high IQ, bang. I think the refs just are doing a horrible job with her. It's hard to be big in basketball now. Like because as soon as you start backing down and somebody flop, they gonna call her. Like she just gets every call against her. Like Aliyah Boston gets almost every call and gets the benefit of the doubt every time. But Bree Jones, if she touch you, foul. Like it's like the refs do not want her to work. So even when she comes back, I think it's best that they are not on the court together. And when they playing the aces, it's best that they have length, because you can't rely on Bonner dropping 40 every night. If you're gonna give yourself the best chance, have some length out there and have that floor wide open. So I think AT should have been an all-star. The Sabrina and DT thing is just like, come on, like Taurasi is 47th in PER. Like Sabrina is 32nd in win shares, 38th in defensive rating, 37th in offensive rating. But it's the media, man. It's not nothing that I don't expect. They do the same thing with Lomachenko. Just because he had like 400 amateur fights and they want to still live in the past. Oh, man, he was a great amateur, 2 gold medals. He can come in, lose in the second fight, have 3 losses. ESPN specifically, they won't put Charlo, who's undisputed, at 154, meaning he has all the belts, but they'll put somebody with 4 losses and no belt. 3 losses and no belt. Or somebody at a low weight division that their best wins, like Inoue, is over a 40-year-old guy. So that's just the nature of the world we live in. It is what it is. To a certain extent, I understand biases. Everybody is going to root for, what's close to them to a certain extent. But as a true fan of a sport, you should want whoever to earn their position. Like, you can feel good, like, man, Joker really earned it and showed everybody. You should want that same thing for Sabrina or whoever else. And you don't have to push her. Y'all got Stewie is here. Like, I don't understand why she isn't giving. It's almost like they want her to be the one more than Stewie. And that's crazy, but it is what it is. You guys let me know what you think, man. Again, I appreciate everybody. And just understand a part of this is just, I don't mean no disrespect. I'm out. Peace and love.